This episode of CNR JUTA DE BEER is sponsored by MIWAY Blink, the faster, simpler, and more rewarding car insurance. Get a quote in minutes. Get car cover sorted in a blink.
Yeah, I mean, don't waste time, and especially on stuff that you want to do with your life or what you're interested in your life. I think the earlier you focus or the earlier you start tackling, the better, because it's very much often that you would imagine that maybe you want to be an artist, but then once you start painting, whether you're talented or not, then you realize, in fact, I'm not interested in this. Maybe I'm just interested in writing about art, or I'm in fact interested in logistics, or so whatever it is that you're thinking about, don't waste time, just do it. And if you can go to school for it, just do that, like as early as possible.
From CNR JUTA DE BEER, imi nomsindisi wesizwe, umvelisi Mnqango umelisi wesizwe, formerly known as Lwazi Madonsela, bringing you a show about creative entrepreneurs live from the landmark that not only birth SA street culture but also formalize the street hustle. On today's episode, we have
Musa Nxumalo. Today's for the art kids, man. I used to want to be an art kid until I realized, you need guys like him. Today we have Musa Nxumalo. How you doing?
I'm alright, man. How's it?
I'm good, man. I'm good. So I sat down, right? I'm like, finally have an art dude. I've always wanted to do art. I'm trying to understand art. How do you actually get into a gallery as any artist, even if it's a group show, just getting into a gallery?
Yeah. Well, man, it differs from one gallery to another, I think maybe the mistake that artists do is to imagine that there's one way, as long as you paint and then you're good and then you deserve to be in the gallery, So galleries have got programs, galleries have got, particular interests, in terms of subject matter and the styles of works that different artists do. So it's really, really about, I think, finding out, from different galleries, what sort of work are they looking for, what their program is looking like. And maybe besides even going to the gallery, just like looking at the history of exhibitions that they have done, so that you get a sense of like how the gallery is moving and stuff like that. And then you'll be able to position yourself to be like, okay, this is a gallery that I feel makes sense to me as opposed to the other one, etc.
You've gone from artist, photographer, which is a form of art in its own, to a curator, now to a gallery owner. Right? You've done all these amazing milestones. I think you're the best person to explain what the importance of an art fair is, because we see the whole of Joburg migrate that side, and then we see the whole of Cape Town migrate this side.
Well, look, the importance of art fairs, I think, one, they're super commercial, so I think it's almost like, for a lack of a better word, like crunch time for every player, from art dealers to artists, to even like independent dealers who don't have gallery spaces and stuff,
Sure. It's
also a moment of networking, with different players again, so it's a typical expo whereby, okay, so maybe you've touched base with a lot of galleries or curators locally. Art fairs usually bring international players as well, so you get to be able to network with those kind of like players and stuff like that. So
what's the business of art? What would you say is the model that kind of works in pushing your art from just, I made this dope piece, I just graduated, to I'm at a gallery? How can you position yourself as an artist? One of the ways you're aware of, because there's different ways. It's not one answer. I think I would take it back to when I said, one needs to look at what the gallery mandate is, or what's the gallery culture is. Some galleries are super commercial. If they know that they will sell a portrait, they wouldn't even care about what you are saying about the portrait that you have created. They know that they will sell this piece because they have a client that they know wants this piece.
some galleries, you know, you could be the best painter, you can pull the best portrait in the world, you know, but then if there's no kind of like background concept or idea that you're exploring, then it's like it's not for them, because maybe their audience or their collectors, you know, they're not mainly interested in, you know, what in the object. It's the object and what it says and how it changes perspectives about, like, you know, what we think about whatever subject.
And then for me, like we were talking earlier, it's like the logistics of art. Can you break down the logistics of art for people who just think, nah, let's just paint this.
Yeah.
I paint this in my little studio. What's the logistics of art?
I mean, I wouldn't say like it's different to a lot of other businesses. You know, we deal with stuff like, you know, transportation of work, you know, insurance of artworks, you know, selling the works. You know, again, you need salesmen, you know, to sell works, but also people who know their story. You know, you need to deal with staffing. You know, a good staff that make sure that, you know, the business runs smoothly. I mean, it's like any other business. It's like, you know, if you have passion for baking cakes, you know, it doesn't end with this beautiful and delicious cake. You have to do everything else, you know, to make sure that you stand out, you know, from everyone else. So,
how important is the insurance? Because like there's different insurances. We know of car insurances, housing insurance.
Yeah.
Now we're talking about art.
Yeah.
How important is insuring the art in its transportation, in having it in the gallery?
Yeah.
And then what's the access fee like? And would you explain what access fee is like for the kids at home?
Yeah. I mean, I think insurance it's probably like one of the most, I think, important element of running a gallery. I mean, artworks are expensive. We all know this, right? And you know, if you damage an artwork that costs like 80,000, or 2 works that cost 80,000, you know, an artist is looking for their money, you know. So you can't be like, this work has just got a scratch and whatnot. So like, you know, fix it. You know, you have to pay for that. So. So insurance is I think it's number one if you plan to open up a space, and I think also that's one of the elements that makes it super difficult for people like me and you to open up like galleries because of such costs. You know, you need to be stacking good capital to make sure that, you know, you're safe.
Yeah. And then with insurance, right? I just learned of insurance because I just got my own insurance now. When you play, because I was talking about access fees. So access fees like the money you pay to access. For the insurance to actually compensate you for your thing. Those logistics, what do you do? Is it a direct call type setup, or how are we playing around that?
Well,
because everyone thinks you just get insurance and then you're good. You just call them.
Well, look, I'm not an expert on insurance, but it's like insuring like very specific valuables. You know, it's not like it's not a form of insurance that is like popular and easy, you know, like insuring a car that like almost everyone like does, you know. So it's very specific, and also it's not cheap, again, because of the items that you are insuring, you know. So my knowledge on that is really much like limited, but I deal with it, you know. Unfortunately, I haven't been in a position where I have to like consistently deal with insurance. But it is a nightmare.
And then what's the role of marketing in art? Because we just made this phenomenal piece. What's the marketing like? How do you market art?
I mean, there's different ways. I think doing an exhibition, you know, exhibitions are actually like a form of or one part or major part of like marketing artworks, you know, and I think since 2020 with like COVID and everything, you know, and also the rise of social media and especially Instagram, I think also that has made it a little bit easier because then people just like see it and you know, so I mean I think we spend about like maybe 30 if not like 40% of the time like really marketing the artworks, you know, and whether it's through like making sure that, you know, we open like 6 days a week and consistently on all our platform mailing lists and social media we consistently remind people to come and view, and you know, so it is a major part of like what we do, you know, as galleries or curators.
How do you create and maintain a mailing list? Because it's like it's a key word. A lot of people always say, nah, this person has the best mailing list. How do you actually create an art mailing list?
So again, if you have a space, then it's a little bit like easier because you have walk-ins. You know, you get people who come in and then you're like, I really love your exhibitions. You know, please put me on your mailing list. You do. So you add those people to your mailing list. Those people haven't bought anything or they haven't shown interest in buying, but then they're interested in what you're doing, right? So that's one part. Then you get a person who comes in and then they're like, you know, I'm super interested in these artists, you know, maybe they buy, you know. That's another person that you put on a mailing list, but on a certain category because this is a buyer, right? Yeah. The other person comes in, they're interested. I really love what you're doing. I love the artists that you're working with, but I can't find anything now. That person gets on your mailing list, but then you know what they're interested in. They get to another category, you know. So
you categorize
the mailing list. So every time then you put together a show or you decide which artists to feature, you already have a sense of, I have about 3 or 4 people who are interested in this artist and stuff. And once you send out your mailing list, you make sure that these people, you know, as per category, they've gotten, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes even pulling the artist and then writing like direct emails to say, hey, so-and-so by name, you know, because you know for a fact that they're interested in this kind of work and everything like that. So mailing list is super important, and I think it goes hand in hand with like marketing, you know, and stuff. So, yeah.
How important was formal training for an artist? Because like you can feel in your heart that I can do this. Some people actually do it from like high school, primary school. But how important was it for you to actually get formally trained in it?
I mean, I didn't know that it was important until then I got to get the formal training. And I think, you know, one of the important elements of getting formal training is that you get to understand that you are not unique and your ideas have been explored. You're not creating something new that people haven't seen or that people haven't spoken about before.
Sure.
And you get to also understand the importance of knowing people who have done the similar works that you're interested in creating, and why they stood out or not stood out. And then lastly, I would say a network. And by network, I mean a community, you know. So it's a little bit harder if you do it by yourself and you haven't been to a form of like training or schooling system, because you don't have a network or a community of like your peers or your contemporaries and the thing, you know, people don't know you. And even though you try to connect, it's a little bit harder than if we've went to school together. So we are able to kind of like share ideas and, you know, and stuff like that. So I know it's not easy for everyone to get to a training institution or get formal education, but, you know, I would highly recommend that, you know, instead of maybe wasting time trying to like knock on doors, I think if you find an institution, you know, that can give you formal training, just go for it. Yeah.
And then now I'm in the art space. I've probably shown at like solo exhibitions. I've been in group shows.
Yeah.
how would I go about just starting a pop-up gallery? Not even something permanent. Like for a weekend, I just want to showcase this work. How do I go about that? What are the logistics?
So as an artist,
yeah.
I mean, again, it goes back. I would go back to the idea that you need a community. So usually artists there's stuff that they don't want to do, because you really want to be concentrating, on your work, on the art, and some people would argue otherwise. Or if you're an artist, you need to be able to be an all-rounder, and I agree with that up to a certain level. But it will make your life much more easier if you have a network of people like writers that you know of, that you have connected with, people who are good with logistics, like just hanging artworks in the gallery in a sense that in a way that makes sense. People who will help with like marketing, and because now you need to understand one thing. Once you decide I want to do a pop-up exhibition by myself and now you're tapping into the business. So you're no longer just creating work. So you have to make sure that you have the right people to make sure that your exhibition is up to a standard that you are hoping for. And by yourself, yes, you can do it, but I think with the team or a network of people who are good at doing those other elements, it just puts you on another level. Yeah.
How do you cultivate a buying community? Because now you have the community of writers, you have this or that. How do you cultivate that? My work is this price.
Yeah.
That's how we're setting it.
I mean, you have to build. You have to build that community, and I think for me, maybe as a curator now, like a gallerist, it has to do with the type of shows that I put together, and the types of suppliers and the networks that I've built since I've worked also as an artist, So I know what writer to speak to, and I know what value they will bring to my show, So if I get a professor to come and write on a group show that I've put together, already there's a mileage there. Whoever it is that is like a serious a serious collector or a serious art buyer, when they see that name that they've contributed on this show, already it raises their eyebrows. I need to go and look at this. Because how do you get a professor if you're only starting up as an artist first, or maybe as a gallerist, And then there's other elements like right now which are very much important, like getting the right photographer to document, your exhibition, so that visually, it keeps up to the standard that the curator and the writer and everyone else, or even the artwork, it maintains that standard, So, yeah.
How important is a physical gallery? Because now in AI world, people go on websites, they can tour the actual gallery online.
Yeah.
How important is it to still have that physical space?
It's like, yeah.
Guys in New York.
Yeah. I'm a skeptic of AI and watching a show online and get busy with the mouse trying to get to that corner there. And by the time you get to an artwork, you need to zoom in and I always make this example. It's like watching your favorite band, a concert in a computer, or live at the festival. Still your favorite band, right? And you're getting this, you're watching on the screen, there's everything else that you're doing. But then if you're in a concert, then it hits different. And I feel with visual arts, painting, sculptures and everything, it's almost like this similar feeling. I can look at it on the computer, I'm looking at a flat screen. It's different, when I'm seeing it in person and see whether it's the strokes or whatever it is that the artist has done with textures and everything like that, So I still believe that the physical space where you go and look at art and smell the paint or whatever else that, smells in the gallery is very much important. And also, it goes back to that thing of like reading and conversating, right? So online you can read the text, what the work is about, etc. But then it's always different when you walk in a gallery and then there's either a gallery assistant or a curator there who then speaks to you about what you're looking at, and you can ask questions and stuff like that. So it's a completely different experience.
If you could change the art world, what do you want to hope for it right now for the next 2 years?
For the next 2 years?
Yeah.
I think it's for artists to set up, systems around their practice so that they are more business savvy. Because so that they're more business savvy and to take accountability and responsibility for their work, whether or not they work independently or they are signed with the gallery. If you sign with the gallery, do not expect that they will do everything for you, or they will take your career to different heights whilst you are just like laying back. I think artists need to understand that they have to do the work, and a gallery or the manager will then manage the process of you getting to a different height, but then you have planned that. You are responsible for that, and yeah.
Our most important question on this podcast is always, what's your word to the youth?
The word to the youth?
Yeah.
Sheesh. Word to the youth, man, don't waste time, man. I think don't waste time thinking, what is youth? Like before 35 and like, yeah, I mean, don't waste time, and especially on stuff that you want to do with your life or what you're interested in your life. I think the earlier you focus or the earlier you start tackling, the better, because it's very much often that you would imagine that maybe you want to be an artist, but then once you start painting, whether you're talented or not, then you realize, in fact, I'm not interested in this. Maybe I'm just interested in writing about art, or I'm in fact interested in logistics, or so whatever it is that you're thinking about, don't waste time, just do it. And if you can go to school for it, just do that, like as early as possible.
Musa Nxumalo, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming to the show.
Thanks, man.
You're our mentor today. We appreciate it. So if you're an art kid, don't tell me your art problems anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want to be in the gallery,
watch
the episode once again.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
appreciate
man.
This.
Later.
This episode of Juta De Beer is sponsored by MIWAY Blink, the faster, simpler, and more rewarding car insurance. Get cover in a blink. You can get up to 50% monthly cash back when you drive less than 2.5 kilometers per month. You can also manage your cover wherever and wherever with MIWAY Blink. Get a code in minutes.